Oh no. Can you hear us? You can't hear Michael. So Michael just said the greatest thing ever, and I agree with him completely. And that's that's what it is. We got Andrew in the chat. Oh no. Hello everybody. Welcome to Plausible Deniability. I am not Brooke Bullock. So Michael just said and neither is that guy. I think he's on that side. Yeah, neither is that guy. It's Michael Cross. It's the every other Thursday night, which is the Thursday night that we do this show. Michael's having a technical difficulty, and he's going to get that straightened out. So, in the meantime, hey, what's happening, everybody? It's October, it's spooky season. We just passed Friday the 13th, which was a lot of fun. I just discovered that there is a thing called boo baskets. It's kind of like getting an Easter basket for someone. So I'm getting, she can probably hear me. I'm getting the wife a boo basket this weekend and candies.
Okay.
Spooky. I'm talking, Michael, and putting spooky. Oh, Michael's back. Baskets. Are you getting boo baskets this year for people this October? It's a thing. It's kind of like getting an Easter basket for someone. It's like an Easter basket, but you put like scary stuff in it, like candy and T-shirts with any ghosts on it, or just little gifts that you put in a boo basket.
I've never had that. No.
I never had it either.
We don't do Halloween much here. We hand out candy, but that's pretty much the extent of it. And every now and then we'll dress up if there's something to dress up for, but we don't because it's on a weeknight usually, and so it's not like I can go out and do things. I got to be up at 2:00 in the morning.
Right.
So
you're getting up.
Yeah.
As the action's happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I do. I don't know. There was a phase in my adult life where it didn't matter what day of the week anything was on. Every day was the weekend.
Yeah, well, that's true.
and then I got a little bit older, and my body and brain were like, no, don't go out tonight.
No. But for those people who do like to stay up late, we do have a 24-hour gaming event coming up for Extra Life. Do make sure and join us November 3rd and 4th at Game HQ on Southwestern in Oklahoma City. We're going to have a blast. It's raising money for Extra Life, which is also for the Oklahoma Children's Hospital Foundation. And we have a video on this site that we were raising money for the Oklahoma Children's Hospital Foundation. And I believe up until November 3rd or 4th, you could still get a Red Dirt D&D package for $20. So you could still put more money into. We did raise our $500, but we could always raise a little bit more for the Children's Hospital Foundation. So go to our YouTube page, look that show up. It was a lot of fun. We had an absolute blast. Kiri and Connor and Germs joined us. Aiden. It was a lot of fun. Mark. Just a really great. Connor DM'd us. It was a lot of fun in Tarask Park. So
yeah, I had a busy day that day, but I did tune in a little bit while I was driving and driving around and listening, and sounded like a lot of great fun. I don't know if it's still happening. Andrew said that he can hear someone's YouTube echoing in the background. I don't know if he still can.
Be happening now. I did turn it off, so.
But there's a delay, so there's that.
I muted. So anyway, so here's an interesting thing. Before we get to trivia, a little bit of sort of trivia for you. So I don't know if I told you, but I've started going when I'm on the treadmill. I've got my iPad out and I'm watching movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I decided instead of just watching random movies, I was going to watch everything Disney ever made. Going back to 1937, Snow White.
Yeah.
And I've been going and watching I'm now up to 1954 with 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Okay.
Interesting little bit.
Very ambitious.
Yes. So, watching James Mason take this professor that who James Mason played Captain Nemo, and he takes him to Captain Nemo takes the professor to this penal colony that Captain Nemo lived in and escaped from, and that's how he escaped. And it was this penal colony where people are doing, manual labor, and it's a horrible place, and he's amazed that he could actually. Most people don't escape from a place like this. Now, guess what was the name of the penal colony?
No.
Rurapente.
Wow.
Where's it from?
It's a moon of it's the prison moon in the Klingon Empire.
It's the penal colony in undiscovered country.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay,
wow.
I know. Obviously, it was a deep cut. If you knew Jules Verne, if you knew 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, you'd get that reference because the whole thing is reference to classic stuff. Even Undiscovered Country is from Hamlet.
Oh wait, that one especially because that's the one that had Kang. That was a Kang, and he kept quoting
Shakespeare.
You can't truly understand Shakespeare until you hear it in the original Klingon.
Which is a whole. I hate that line. I hate that line so much. I hate that line.
I love that line.
That makes no sense. Shakespeare wasn't Klingon. How was it in the original Klingon?
As far as you know.
My wife just yelled out, "You don't know that." So
it's like Spock. Somewhere in Star Trek canon, Spock is the one who coined the phrase "Only Nixon could go to China."
Yes, that was an old Vulcan saying. Only Nixon could go to China. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. What?
But now, of course, all the way back to the original series, Gene Roddenberry has always tied the classics into Star Trek. It's been, whenever they make a reference, it is to something usually classical, Shakespeare or Greek tragedy or something like that. So the fact that they would reference a Jules Verne novel for the penal colony. But I was so funny that I'm watching that, I'm like, wait a minute. I had to rewind it, and I'm like, and looking at the closed caption, I'm like, Rurapente. It is the same penal colony. Wow. So a little bit of trivia there, folks.
Catch.
Anyway, if everyone's here, let's do some trivia. Let's do some trivia. Here we go.
Your reset.
Scorecard. We don't know have you got the scorecard?
I don't have the scorecard. Brooke said that it's reset to 0.
It's reset to 0.
I don't know why, but he said reset it to 0. So
okay. Then that's
wrong. He's got it. I'm going to track it right now, and then we'll get there later. The English teacher is the bookkeeper, so we'll get that figured out.
We've got Andrew here. We got Don Mills here. Germs. So we'll see. Yep. We'll see how we do here. So far, I have not seen Falcor. I have not seen Aiden, so we'll see what happens.
He's playing Starfield. Let me ping him again.
Let him know this is going on.
That's what he's doing.
My answer, whatever Andrew guesses. All right, here we go. We're going to start with magic and miscellany. Magic and miscellany. In Faerun, what magical vehicles were long associated with Halrua and used by the 5 companies during the Spell Plague?
Elevators.
Faerun, what magical vehicles were long associated with Halrua and used by the 5 companies during the Spell Plagues?
Andrew, don't fret. I don't know the rhyme or reason as to why we would be resetting it, but Brooke said he was going to miss tonight.
Right.
And have fun with trivia, and then the scores are reset. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are the rules on it? I don't know. We'll make them up as we go. We have an answer, is it right?
I'm going to accept it because the actual answer is skyships, but Germs, we'll let you have that with airships. It's same thing. But they look like ordinary full-rigged sailing ships, but sail the sky as well as the sea. So used during the Spell Plague. Of course, that was during 4E, if anyone was playing at the time. 4E, also known as 4th edition, also known as the edition that was probably the shortest lived. And
which is crazily enough making a comeback.
Is it really?
It's getting a lot of buzz on the internet. People when Pathfinder 2 came out, a lot of people said Pathfinder 2 was 4E done right. And then here lately with a big OSR thing popping up, a lot of people are like, does that include 4E? And it's like, yeah, because 5E is the standard right now. So 4E counts and everything back from it. And people started dipping into 4E, and they're like, I could see why this wasn't light, because the change from 3 to 4 was so drastic. Mm-hmm. But now, in retrospect, 4 isn't so bad.
Oh, it's like people who like the prequels in Star Wars. Okay.
Remember the next question.
It's just like my wife loves Jar Jar. She will always love Jar Jar.
No, stop. Read the question.
Okay. What is this? This is history.
Sorry, Kim.
Gleemax. Gleemax was the name of a powerful Modron, a digital platform for Wizards of the Coast, or the court jester of King Snurr. Gleemax was the name of a powerful Modron, a digital platform for Wizards of the Coast, or the court jester of King Snurr. You got three. There's three chances right there. Gleemax.
King Snurr.
For those of you who don't know,
So
King Snurr was from the Against the Giants series. But that's good.
I was watching a movie on Gleemax the other day.
It's not been the same since Warner Brothers bought Gleemax. It's not the same thing.
Yeah. I thought it was so crazy. They're like, we're going to take this HBO app and rebrand it to Max because HBO isn't really tuning in with the younger generation. And I'm like, but Max is?
Yeah. And well, it's like when Radio Shack decided to just go Shack because they thought radio was old fashioned because Shack isn't old fashioned.
What's crazy is they didn't update the app either. You had to completely download a whole new app.
Yeah.
They could have just changed the logo.
And I still call my wife was like, "What channel are we on?" We're on HBO. She goes, "Oh, you mean Max?" Yeah. I'm like, "No, it's always going to be HBO."
It's HBO.
Because that's like the very first movie cable channel ever. I know. We had it like in 1981.
We had to get up and turn the box.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Gosh, we're old. Oh, did we even get the answer? Here we go. Let's see. Has anyone gotten it yet? No.
Well.
No one has gotten it yet. Guess what, folks?
Read the question again.
I shall. Gleemax was the name of a powerful Modron, a digital platform for Wizards of the Coast, or the court jester of King Snurr.
Wow.
Yes, Andrew. It is. Andrew. It is a digital platform. And I'm going to say Hal Horton got that one. He actually put in digital platform. So let's give it to Hal.
Okay.
Let's give it to Hal.
Pat Sajak got in trouble because he accepted, what was it? The answer was like something nut, and someone said something nuts. And like public got mad. Like that was not the answer. You shouldn't have accepted it.
Yeah.
We hear plausible deniability. We don't know what we're doing, so we'll accept it.
That's right. Well, I think we say go Hal. It was a digital platform announced in 2007 and closed not long thereafter. There's a reason why Wizards of the Coast bought D&D Beyond. It was a proven.
We'll talk about that later.
It was a proven product that worked. So, it did. It does. It's still. I use it every day. I can't imagine not having D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
And there are other programs out there, and Wizards of the Coast has even tried its own stuff, and it's never worked. So, in history, no, this is monsters. What burly, white-furred creatures live in frozen regions and can freeze targets with their chilling gaze? What burly, white-furred creatures live in frozen regions and can freeze targets with their chilling gaze? Let's see who gets this one first, because I think someone's going to get this one pretty quickly.
I was going to say my junior high prom date, but probably not.
Yeah, don't anyone out there put your mother-in-law. That's uncool. Don Mills. Don, dude. Yeti is correct.
There we go.
Excellent. So I think we've gotten one from Germs, one from Hal, one from Don.
Yep.
Andrew Ruffles just a little bit late. Don's got the speedy fingers there. Okay. Adventures. Oh, here we go. 5E. In Horde of the Dragon Queen, what flying ice fortress built and inhabited by giants is being shared with the Cult of the Dragon? In Horde of the Dragon Queen, what flying ice fortress built and inhabited by giants is being shared with the Cult of the Dragon?
When I started playing EverQuest way back in the 90s, oh my God, I was hooked. I played that thing for 10 years, raid leader of a guild. It was great.
Did you really? Wow.
I started a guild, and you had to petition, and that's when it wasn't, nothing was automated. People who literally worked for the game company would show up as a character and talk to you when you wanted to like start a guild and interview, and you had to answer questions and such. Wow. And I wanted to call the guild Cult of the Dragon. And I'm like, surely they won't know what this is. And that's before I knew the history of EverQuest. And yeah, he's like, nope, we can't call it Cult of the Dragon. That's a D&D thing. And I was like, bummer.
So Andrew, Skyreach. Andrew wins that one.
There you go.
Skyreach is correct. Skyreach
Welcome
Castle.
into the game, Andrew.
There we go. Okay. 4-way tie now. Skyreach Castle. And we're going with blue, which is characters. What notorious characters' other identities include Tasha the Wizard and Zybilina the Archfey? See if who gets the first. Yeah, you got to know the name of who this person is. What notorious characters' other identities include Tasha the Wizard and Zybilina the Archfey?
I feel like I know.
Yeah, I know this one too, but I'm wondering if anyone can remember who this is. And yes, it is the Tasha from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything.
Hey, there's Ruffles.
Yeah. No, it's not Gerald Axel. Not Tiamat. It's not Artemis and Trey. You're just going to name people from the... There we go. Andrew. Igwilv.
Andrew.
Misspelled, but we'll take it. Igwilv. Which Igwilv is actually... goes back to the Greyhawk legends back in the first edition, and is actually the daughter or the adopted daughter of who? Do you know?
Jarlax.
No. Baba Yaga.
Oh.
The adopted daughter of Baba Yaga. And actually it goes back to Russian lore. I mean, this is some great story about how she and her sister were adopted by, and she was the evil, mean one, and her sister was there, and Andrew got it, Baba Yaga. So, all right, here we go. For cosmology, in what campaign setting might you play as a simic hybrid augmented by physical features of animals? In what campaign setting might you play as a simic hybrid augmented by physical features of animals?
I know the answer to this one.
I figured you would.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have known it.
Yeah. Have you played this setting?
No. No.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty unique, but yeah, it's fun.
And it's not just because
there's so much to do. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to give it away before. No, it's not Eberron, Germs.
Not Planescape.
It's not Planescape.
No.
Although I have been reading up on that Planescape, and that looks really fascinating.
It's interesting. Did you ever do any old Planescape?
No.
I'm old. They changed it. I don't like change.
Well, remember, I didn't play from once second edition. The day second edition came out, I kind of stopped playing. I never played again until 5e. So anything outside of like Greyhawk and Mystara, I wasn't even around for. I wasn't even really around for Faerun because
Dragonlance.
I did play Dragonlance, yes.
Okay, cool.
Loved playing.
We'll get you in there. These are all great answers, and they're taking me back, but none of these are correct so far.
No, it is a 5e product. And Ruffles and Falcor, I'm going to give you a hint, is closest.
You're close in release timeline.
Well, closest in something else.
Yeah.
We'll see if someone can get that. So we're still waiting.
So while they try to tap that knowledge,
yes,
let's discuss subtle hints.
It's not Strixhaven.
No.
I wonder if they're going to do a Dark Sun.
They won't. It would change. So like Planescape has changed, but it's still Planescape.
Right.
But Dark Sun would have to change so much. It would not be. It'd be a whole new setting.
Okay.
I mean,
I never played Dark Sun, so
slavery is a giant theme of Dark Sun. So much so that you almost don't start a tavern. You start chained up in the back of a wagon like Gladiator.
Okay. Andrew.
Yeah. Andrew got it.
Yeah.
Ravnica.
And the reason I said it was Ruffles was closest because Theros is also a Magic the Gathering setting.
Just like Ravnica. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And they kind of came out like close to each other, I believe. The releases were close.
Yeah, it was when they were basically releasing a whole bunch of stuff from the Magic the Gathering setting. And I was going to say the only reason I did not do Ravnica, it has nothing to do with the setting itself. Mm-hmm. There's no adventure to play in it, so anything would have to be done. The DM would have to create their own world, and most DMs I know, they just want to grab a book and do.
Is there anything in the Adventurers Guild for it? I wonder.
Possibly.
That'd be worth.
But as far as nowadays, I think that Wizards has gotten a lot better at. They don't release just a setting; they release a setting with an adventure of some kind.
Yeah.
Like Strixhaven, it's like here's the setting plus an adventure. Planescape, here's a setting plus an adventure.
Yeah.
Dragonlance, here's a setting plus an adventure. That way, you're not going to go because I hated that with Eberron and with Ravnica and Theros. They just went here's a setting.
Yeah.
Well,
that's true. Was it the last question?
That was it. So Andrew, I think, wins that one.
Yeah.
With two of them. Congratulations, Andrew.
With Planescape or with Dark Sun it's like really brutal. Like the elements can kill you. Thirst is a big factor and such. And yeah, a lot of it would have to be changed so much that it would flip around. So we've got, that was a good board. Andrew with 3 points, Don Helen Germs with 1 point each. And yell at Brooke and be like, dude, what do you mean?
Yeah, we'll find out next time. Oh, by the way, so one of the things we will not, so before we meet next time, we are going to be at the Blue Note a week from this Sunday doing Bruncheons and Dragons 2, The Audience Strikes Back. Folks, this is going to be an absolute blast. If you are in Central Oklahoma, make sure you go to the Blue Note website or kosu.org. You can get your reservations. You can reserve food from Toast and Coffee of Oklahoma City. Make sure you do this, folks, because it's going to be a blast. Again, it's going to be all of the Red Dirt players just having an absolute blast. What Mark has got planned, it's going to blow your mind. So do not miss it. It is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be incredible. So do want to make a plug for that. So what else is going on? Asoka finished. I think, since we've talked.
Yeah.
And what did you think?
There were moments of it that were questionable in the final few episodes. That was kind of like a really. There was a few moments that were questionable that they redeemed. Overall, with the finale, I have to say it left me excited and looking forward to a season 2 for where Thrawn is going. Anyone who stayed behind, they can just stay there.
But that's the main character.
I wasn't thrilled.
Here's the thing.
That's the rough part. I know we talked before where Amanda and I were watching an episode, and we've been talking how like 4 episodes in, it took forever for the dialogue. It was like, do you really think this will work? And then long pause, eyebrow, look away. I think it will. The intense scene where they're trying to find out that it's on Coruscant was like so much pausing. So then we're sitting there watching an episode. In the beginning, David Tennant and Asoka are talking in the cockpit, and the dialogue is taking forever, so much so that Amanda's like, "Oh my God, just say it!" and jumps up at the TV. The rest of the episode was amazing, and we were reflecting on it afterwards. It's like, yeah, it was really good. And about an hour past the episode, it hit me. You know what made that episode so good? Remember how you jumped up off the couch and yelled at the TV because the dialogue was so slow? That was the last time we saw Ahsoka in that episode. They didn't do good direction for her or something, or the writing.
It's very possible that now here's my problem with it. I do very much agree with you, Johnny. For me, it's like they worked so hard to set up what basically could be a next phase for Star Wars.
Yeah.
That I'm like, but you didn't do anything.
So Marvel's running into the same thing. They're setting up the next thing that can set up the next thing that can set up the next thing. Nothing's coming to a head.
Yeah. And
we'll talk about some Marvel here in a little bit too. As much as I loved it, much as I loved the member berries, a lot of people are complaining I shouldn't have to watch 2 full seasons of an animated show and half a season of this and then these movies to get what's happening. I, as a huge, ridiculous Star Wars fan, watched it all and I enjoyed the heck out of it. And then, but when they, when she handed Ezra the lightsaber, and he refused it. I was just reminded of Luke grabbing it and throwing it over his shoulder. I was like, "Come on, please don't do that." But then he got a lightsaber and things were fine.
Yeah.
So that worked out really well.
And I did like the fact that he fought without. He didn't. You don't need a lightsaber. I do kind of. I feel like you don't. Now Luke didn't fight. I mean, well, he did eventually, but his throwing away was he just didn't want to do anything with Jedi. For Ezra, it was more of a, I don't need that anymore. I'm a badass without a lightsaber.
Well, my first fear was, did he come to this planet and live with the turtles and find peace, and so he doesn't fight anymore?
No.
It was going to be, but it turned out to not be.
Yeah.
It was completely wrong.
He was just a badass without it. But it was it didn't do it. I was so excited for it, and I was feeling so good about it. And then we got to that final ending, and I'm like, first off, you got the one. I feel so bad for the one character, the bad Jedi who
Elsbeth,
who of course the actor died.
Oh yeah, Ray Stevens. Yeah.
I mean, it's heartbreaking. It's like, okay, I don't know what you're gonna do with that. But now the fact that he was on the arm of the
father.
Yeah, and the son was on his left hand side, and a broken statue of the daughter.
The face was gone.
On the right. Yeah. I mean.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's really cool.
Why is that there?
But I know. And that's what bothered me. There was so much, yes, and which is the representation of the daughter. And I'm like,
yeah.
I just like, you've set up all this stuff, but you didn't really do anything with it. It was more of a gotcha at the last moment to make you feel something. I don't know. It was disappointing. I was disappointed by the end of Ahsoka. I was thrilled almost all the way through it. But the ending just left me, and it didn't even leave me like with a cliffhanger. It left me with a like, okay, I have no interest in watching that anymore. I'm never going to go back and watch it. I mean, just.
Yeah, it was, I mean, the pacing was so, Dave Filoni disappointed me this time. Yeah. And a lot of people kept saying, don't worry about the pacing. Ahsoka is acting this way, and there's going to be a turning point where it's different. And I love the actress to death. I was really excited when I found out she was cast in it. But I think I said this the last episode. Maybe Brooke and I were talking about it. You can tell she never picked up a stick or a broom handle as a kid, or a flashlight, and acted like it was a sword. But was it Shin Batty, the Sith lady?
Yeah,
she was great. It was fluid motions.
Yeah,
and I feel like with Rosario Dawson, it was like you're going to deflect these blaster bolts, and there's going to be one here and one here and then one here, and so she was just like, "It is here now. It is here now. It is here now," and not like a sweeping grace with a flourish or anything.
Yeah,
it was very mechanical. It looked unnatural. It looked like she'd never touched a lightsaber in her life.
And I gotta say, I wish that the voice actors could have played all of those characters.
They've always talked about how she.
I would have loved to have seen Ashley Eckstein playing.
Yeah.
Playing Asoka. It would have been her voice. It would have been.
She said
her,
she wasn't physically fit enough to do it, but also Rosario Dawson was kind of. There was. It's like she did this like turning spin kick thing when they were on Coruscant, and if you really go back and watch it, she kind of just like lifts her leg about a foot off the ground while she's turning. But when you watch it like smooth out, I don't know, it's weird. I
just never bought her as Ahsoka. I love Rosario Dawson. I'm not bashing her at all. I think she's fabulous.
Yeah.
I just never felt her as Ahsoka, and because I grew up with Ahsoka being Ashley Eckstein and being so it didn't work. It was a little disappointing. Anyway,
I accepted her as Ahsoka a lot when she was in the other shows.
Yes.
I feel like in this show, I feel like no one worked with her. I feel like they said, "Hey, that headpiece looks great. The makeup is awesome. Go." And I feel like they just left her alone. I don't think anybody worked with her.
Yeah.
And that's not her fault. That's never the actor's fault when it's like
right. And I'm not blaming her because she's a fabulous actor. So I'm not blaming her work, but I never bought it, and it also might be the writing. There might be a lot of other things that went on.
The writing. I don't know. It was so weird.
Just didn't feel like the character from Rebels. And it didn't even feel like the character that we met in Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
It was like, I don't know who this was. The best character of the whole thing was David Tennant's 25,000-year-old robot.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the best part of this entire show. If we did a show just on him, let's go back to Knights of the Old Republic just with him. I'd be fabulous for that. But
or him and Sabine running off for training or something. Let's do a whole show of that. I think Mickelson was great as Thrawn. I feel like that whoever wrote any part for Thrawn didn't really read like the new books that were written for him, because when he's sitting there watching the hologram map of what's happening, Thrawn in the books would have said, "Oh, she's here. Then I know exactly where she's going and what she's going to do when she gets there and how she arrives. So I want troops here, 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 here." He's 5 steps ahead of you in a game of chess.
Yeah.
In the series, it was like, I'm going to sit back and wait for something to happen, and then when it happens, there's going to be 6 troopers ready to go.
Yeah.
No, in the books, Ahsoka wouldn't survive.
He's a genius. I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah.
And even
especially knowing her mentor, it would have been all over.
Even in the final seasons of Rebels, it was he was dangerous.
Yeah.
It took, the only way they could defeat him was by doing something he could never possibly expect. And that's the only way they defeated him.
Yeah.
So
it was a really interesting episode when it was like, oh no, they gave us exactly what we needed. Time. It's like, they gave you time anyway because they're so freaking far away from the ship. You had all the time in the world to load that stuff.
I know.
You did nothing to buy time. It was just circumstance because they were so far away and traveling on foot.
Yeah. See, so there's a lot of issues with the show, and maybe a second season might be, or whatever that is they're setting up for. I don't even know if it's going to be a second season of Ahsoka. I think they might be setting up something else somewhere else. There might be just the Thrawn story next.
I agree with Ruffles. And another really disappointing part is when Jason came out. When Hera and what's his face's son?
Yeah, Jason.
What's his name?
Jeez. Jason.
No, the son, his dad.
Dang it.
Yeah. Anyway.
Caleb Dune.
Kanan Jarrus.
Kanan Jarrus. There you go.
The point is, when he came out and he said something like, "Why? Like, can I be a Jedi?" And she just like scruffled his hair, like, "Oh, you little ragamuffin," and dismissed it and walked away. And I was like,
I know.
Are you insane?
I know.
Why are you not training this guy?
Well, I was like, why is he not with Luke? We've introduced that Luke is out there training. Why is he not with Luke? I would, again, there's a lot of issues with the show. Okay, Loki.
Yeah. Okay.
Loki. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I said it to you off camera. I'll say it again here, and then you can take over.
Yeah.
I thought the first episode of Loki alone was enough. It was such a great. I mean, I loved season 1, but just episode 1 to season 2 was just. It was so complete, so fulfilling. There was so much in it that I was on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
Go, Michael.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. And actually, I actually thought about, I don't usually do this, but I had to go at the very end. I was like, who directed this? I was like, who? Because there were so many great shots of it, great moments, great shots where it was like more than one person. I mean, with just one shot of just so much stuff going on. Finally found out at the end there was two directors in the show. So it was that phenomenal.
Okay.
There's going to be a spoiler here, folks, if you have not seen it yet. So just be aware. The ending of, or the mid-credit scene for episode 1, we see Sylvie show back up. And she shows up in, do you remember the name of this town?
I can't remember the town.
Broxton, Oklahoma.
Broxton.
Okay. So, Broxton, Oklahoma. In the comic books, Broxton, Oklahoma is where Thor brings Asgard. So in the comic books, Asgard is floating like a few feet above Broxton, Oklahoma. And there was a whole mini series called Siege, and it was about Loki, and this is the old school Loki with the horns and really bad guy Loki, trying to take over Asgard, and it was a siege of Asgard, and of course all taking place in Broxton, Oklahoma. Well, I thought it was so cool back in like 2012 that I decided to do an NPR story and find Broxton, Oklahoma. Found it. It exists.
Wow.
It's in.
Does it have Home of Asgard on this Welcome to Broxton sign?
It's in southwest Oklahoma.
Yeah.
It is a crossroads with a former. The fire department's closed down, an old school that's closed down. I think there's one building, and then farms everywhere. There's no, when you see in the comic books, you pull up Broxton, Oklahoma, it's a full town with a diner, a McDonald's, all this kind of stuff. And what they did in the show, same thing. It's a full town. Broxton, Oklahoma is an abandoned town in real life. But so I called Marvel. And I had an interview with them. Like I said, I did a whole NPR story on Broxton, Oklahoma for KOSU. And talked to Marvel. I said, where did you come up with Broxton, Oklahoma? And apparently the first writer who came up with it was like from Oklahoma or had seen a band by the name of Broxton, Oklahoma or something like that. And that's how it came up. They just picked it. They had never been to Broxton, Oklahoma. Broxton, Oklahoma itself doesn't know anything about the Marvel comics. It probably does now.
Yeah.
Because, if it's in a comic book, 9 times out of 10, most people don't know it. They haven't read it. But
when you go somewhere and you see the information plaque about like the person that founded it or something or whatever, or who planted that tree, you need to get some like donations going and put the cover of the first issue that had it or something. Yeah.
Well, now that Loki has basically put Broxton, Oklahoma on the map, it could change a little bit. But because when I mentioned it, everyone I talked to was like, they had no idea this was going on. This is 2012, long before, the Avengers had just come out in the movies. That was
in Asgard.
Yeah. And so it's like, So I when Broxton, Oklahoma was shown on the screen, I jumped out of my seat because I thought that was so cool.
Mark's got some knowledge over here.
Is unincorporated land? Yeah, it's nothing. It is a crossroads, and I actually did a live from Broxton thing in my story, which was standing in the crossroads with nothing around. There's absolutely nothing there, but you can get there, and it does actually. Broxton, Oklahoma, does exist. It's not an actual town. It's just a place.
Yeah. Yeah, read that, buddy.
That's right. Using my power for good.
Yeah. Power of the reporter.
But yes, Loki, phenomenal. I've seen the first 2 episodes. It's great. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. And the fact that we brought back, I can never pronounce his name, Short Round.
Data.
Yeah, I think that's so wonderful that he's just only recently, because of other shows, he's just all of a sudden become popular, and he's in all these things.
Award winner.
Yeah. So
I love how he's playing this character with like zero emotion, like nothing panics him, nothing freaks him.
Oh, and the moment he's like,
so
no, what you would need is a blah, 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 blah. Oh, look, apparently I made one.
It's like, oh, your flesh is going to get peeled off. You'll be fine.
I know. Yeah, it's a great show. Great show. I'm loving what they're doing with it. And yeah, so I'm really looking forward to what's going on with that. D&D news. Ke Huy Swan. That's it.
There you go.
So we just got a drop for the Book of Many Things. There's going to be a deck of many things. Have you read about what's going to be coming out on this?
I haven't. I just saw. I was reading some stuff about Planescape and saw that there's one book left in the 2023 lineup for release, and I completely forgot they were doing that book. And so I went and looked up the release schedule and saw that, and I see they dropped a trailer for it and everything.
Yeah, it's going to be. It's you can get the physical product, which has the deck of many things set. It's the actual deck with
many things.
Well, it's because the normal deck used to have 22 cards. This one has 44 extra cards. So it's not just your regular cards. It's 66 cards in this deck now. So they've expanded it. It comes with a guidebook and then a source book, which is the Book of Many Things, which includes, where did I find this? It actually has a list of what's in there. It's not much. It's a 196-page book, something like that, with
196 pages.
Yeah,
that is many things.
It's tiny. That's small. It will have 3 new spells, 2 new backgrounds. Yeah.
Oh, Mark says the new episode 3 of Loki drops after Plausible Deniability. I know what I'm watching during dinner.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so you get new character backgrounds, and your character background is what if you drew from the cards. And, yeah. 1 new feat, 3 new spells, and magic items. So, and also the source book is all going to have like things like if they draw. I think it's going to be like if they draw this card, then here's the stats for death, because there's one of the cards where you can face death. If here's dungeon, I don't know. There's a place where you could get taken to a dungeon that you are trapped in. So it's going to have those kind of like side quest type things that you can either throw in your campaign or use this deck to do things like that. So I'll probably get the digital copy. I don't think I'll get the physical copy. The physical copy is like $100.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just don't think, I don't see me using that. So I'm much more excited about Planescape. It's much cooler. But yeah, I would definitely I'd get the digital copies of just about everything for D&D Beyond. But.
Well, see, the thing is, like with getting like the physical set of like Planescape and getting the map, the sigil, and all that neat stuff is cool. But with this game, you can use that deck anywhere.
Yeah. Yes.
Especially a homebrew campaign or even a published campaign, and you just I'm going to throw the deck of many things in. Someone finds it. Someone finds half of it.
Sure.
Or whatever.
Yeah, and back when it first came out, I know someone would you didn't necessarily want your players to have deck of many things because then you as a DM had to come up with a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah.
once they derailed the campaign and drew a card, it's like, oh, okay. Well, so much for going after the goblins now. You guys are being chased by death.
So, yeah, I've gone through before and handpicked the cards I didn't want them to have.
Mm.
And then they found a, corpse with a bag, and inside the bag was, part of the deck. And it was the things that were this is okay if they draw them. I can handle this easier. Yeah. Done that before.
Yeah. So go for it.
Go ahead.
I think you should draw from the cards.
You mean draw
if no one out there has ever done a deck of many things, we're going to have Johnny roll a D22, and we're going to find out what it is he picks.
No kidding. There I was. Okay, I had infiltrated the bandit camp. Okay, I was there for 18 days, and they had no idea who I was, and I secretly got rid of them. And I made my way up to the fortress that they had taken over, and I'm standing there before the gate, shield in one hand, sword in the other, trusty familiar by my side, and I think I can't do this alone. And I reach into my pouch and I pull out the deck of many things, and I roll a 17.
17.
I pull out a card and I throw it on the ground, and then I regret everything I did that led me up to this moment.
Yes, because it says ruin on it. It says...
So all my foes are ruined. Excellent. I win the day.
All forms of wealth that you carry or own, other than magic items, are lost to you. Portable property vanishes. Businesses, buildings, and land you own are lost in a way that alters reality the least. Any documentation that proves you should own something lost to this card also disappears.
So there I stand before the gates of the keep.
You had a magic weapon. You had a magic sword.
Naked and in the rain, with nothing but my familiar.
And holding Excalibur.
And I charge.
Woo!
And I make a new character.
Yes.
That's fine. All
right. Anyway, so we got about 15 minutes left.
Okay.
Did you have something you wanted for your Grognerd corner?
I don't know if I have 15 minutes worth of Grognerd, but we could turn it into that. So, yes, I have a Grognerd moment. I am one of those people. I'm going to go a long way around this since I have 15 minutes for it. So, there's a side, a group. We'll call one, like hot and one cold, one dry and one wet, salt and pepper. Doesn't matter what we call them. That says, I don't like this thing that Wizards of the Coast did, or I don't like this thing that's been existing in D&D forever. Change it, company. And the company goes, cool, and changes it. Then the other side goes, what? It was perfectly fine. Why did you change it? And then side A says, oh, then that's the cool thing about D&D is you can play it however you want to play it. You can leave it in there. And this is things like orcs aren't savages, or the drow aren't evil, or things like that, or alignment, or things. And so there's the argument of, well, the side that complained and wanted it taken away, now their thing is, well, just change it and play the way you want to. Well, why didn't you change it and play the way you want to? Instead, you made the company change it. But I think something that Wizards of the Coast could do to eliminate a lot of issues in the community and to eliminate a lot of issues that they accidentally get themselves into is one final change. One more change I think that should cover everything. And it is, go back to what Gary Gygax said. You've gone back so far as to change the way alignment works. You've gone back as far as to change Drow and the Drow Pantheon and their culture and civilization to orcs. Change this. When Gary Gygax and or Dave Arneson said, this is all based on real Earth stuff from like medieval Europe and medieval England. That's what this whole game is based on. So this race is like these people, and this race is like these people. Change that and make a declaration and put it in print. This is all made up fantasy make-believe. Faerun is not based on anything. Greyhawk is not based on anything. Dragonlance does not exist anywhere in the real world. And all the inhabitants of it are just made-up fiction from imagination. And that, I think, would help soften the blow with things where it's like, well, if you have one entire race of evil, that translates into the real world of thinking that there's a race of evil. And no, it's all fantasy. It's all pretend. It's all make-believe. And I mean, I think a lot of this goes back to the video game thing. You know, you play a video game and you fall for it. In real life, you're going to go on to do these bad things. I don't think anyone goes out and plays D&D and says, my character in D&D hates the Drow, so me in real life is going to hate this group because I've influenced by the game. But one of the big arguments is, yes, it is an analog because Gary Gygax said so. Well, change that.
Yeah.
Gary Gygax and other people also said Drow are evil, and you changed it. And orcs are savage, and you changed it.
And Gary Gygax was also kind of a jerk. I mean,
he was kind of what he was, you know.
he was, and there were a lot of things that I could call Gary Gygax, and
yeah, and he didn't fight for it or against it either. I don't think he knew.
no, well,
he just didn't know.
He was a product of a different time.
He was a product of circumstance. He was a victim of circumstance, and he could have known if he put forth some effort, but he didn't. And maybe the people he surrounded himself with said something. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. You know, like attracts like or what have you. But I just wonder. I wonder in my head what would happen if Wizards of the Coast made that declaration and said nothing in the world of D&D is based on anything in the real world from this point forward. Everything is fictional and imagination and made up. Yeah. If what that would do to the community, if they would be like, oh, okay, cool. So if we come across a race of intelligence that are evil, we're not going to compare it to a race that exists in the real world and then complain. Right. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I think you're right. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who complain about things in a fantasy setting that I'm like, why are you? What? Well, that's not the way it would be. Like, but it's a fantasy setting.
Right.
It's a world where magic exists. Okay.
Yeah. I've always said I was going to flip the script, and if I ever made a game myself, I was going to make it where, like, the places up north that were ice cold is where you would have people who had very brown skin, and in places where it was like thick, lush jungle vegetation would be really pale, pasty redheads, right. And just totally mix up all of it so that no one could say, "Oh, those people are like the Irish," or "Oh, those people are like the..." No, they're not.
No. It's a fantasy world. It's a world where my character actually gets 8 hours of sleep a night, and is incredibly wealthy.
Yes.
For doing absolutely nothing but going out on adventures. I mean, so
it's
a fantasy. Yes, I'm full. It is a fantasy, folks. It's a fantasy and magical realm. You know, whatever your thoughts are, it is a fantasy world. And yes, it is at your table. You can do whatever you want. So
I can run a game and keep the drow purely evil, but at the same time, you could have run a game and made them happy stripping people.
Right.
You know.
Well, I think they were. I think they just wanted. Now for drow, I've been reading the books where Drizzt has actually found the new. Or not Drizzt actually has found the Jarlaxle and Catti-brie have found the new race of drow that are not evil, and I think it's just because they wanted to do something different. You know, which again, you go, why not? Sure, there's another sect of drow that.
Yeah.
You know, you could. Yeah. It's a fantasy world, so you can do anything you want. You could find different. There could be Giths. Is it the Githzerai or the Githyanki that are the bad guys?
Yeah, I always confuse them.
I know. I think it's Githyanki who are the bad guys.
That's why I just kill all Giths on sight.
Yeah, you can meet. It's like the lost tribe of Sith. You know, you could find the lost tribe of Gith that you know.
Yeah.
That didn't know anything was going on. So, you know, it's a fantasy world. It is a fantasy. This is all fantasy. It's all made up.
It's all made up. Yeah. It's all. It is.
So
it's cool if you want to use it like as a message sometimes, but I think a lot of people get confused, and it's like everything has to be activism and everything has to be a platform, and some people want to use gaming to escape. So when you're bringing in reminders, it's kind of the turn off. You know,
it can be, and that's why every table should be different. I mean, you got to know your table. Always have your session zero, and if there's something in the game as a player that you're not comfortable with, just leave. Just go. If you're DMing and there's someone at your table that's causing problems, just get rid of them. You know, this is a game that we're all supposed to be having fun playing, and if everyone at the table's not having fun, then something's wrong. And there are a multitude. The beauty of the times that we live in, there are plenty of places to find games, either online or IRL. There's a way to find games.
Yeah.
And of course, even the plethora of games, not necessarily even D&D. There are many games out there. The OSR was a big pain in the butt earlier this year, but it did kind of make people go, well, there are other games out there. So maybe I should look into those other games. And
you mean the OGL?
The OGL, yeah.
Yeah. My Tuesday night group is a dedicated Pathfinder group that played 2.5-year campaign up to 20, the first one for PF2. We took a short break and played Delta Green, which is a modern day Cthulhu. Played that for a few months, and we jumped back in and played another campaign that's coming to an end. And they have asked me if I would run some OSR stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's blowing their mind about how, like, unless you pick halfling or pick elf for a class, you're human. If you pick wizard, you're human. If you pick fighter, you're human. If you pick thief, you're human. If you want to not be a human, then that you don't get race and class. You just get class.
Right.
And so it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Yeah.
So there's all this stuff out there. So please, enjoy the renaissance of role playing games that we're in right now, because and if you do want to come play some games, there are going to be many games going on at Game HQ November 3rd and 4th for Extra Life. We're going to be out there. We're going to have our character sheets out there. Just to let you guys know, because we've got 4 minutes left, Friday night we'll be having a competitive event, which is, I believe, set in the world of Mysteries of Beatrix. I believe. I think that, so the last I heard, that's what they were working on.
I think so.
And so that will be the Friday night game that will be taking place starting at 7:00. There's going to be food there. There's going to be dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner the next night. That morning, we are doing D&D Trivia. So what you've been enjoying tonight, we'll be doing D&D Trivia Saturday morning. And then we're going to have a table where we will teach you, if you've never played 5e before, that we will teach you how to build a character just in time for the epic that will go at 1:00. So you'll be just in time. You'll have your character ready to go just in time for the epic. So it's going to be 24 hours of gaming. It's going to be a blast. I'm hoping Mark is going to be emceeing again. He did a fabulous job the past 2 or 3 years. We love him doing it. So hopefully he'll be able to do that again. There's going to be a lot of prizes to win. There's going to be raffles, food, games, miniature painting, and it's all raising money for the Oklahoma Children's Hospital Foundation. So come out November 3rd and 4th at Game HQ Southwestern. It's going to be an absolute blast.
What's happening on the 5th? I feel like there was something big about the 5th of November. Oh, that's daylight savings. Okay, yeah.
Oh, yes. So when we stay up for 24 hours, we also get an extra hour of sleep. That'll be good.
Yeah.
Remember the 5th of November. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yep. 5th, yeah.
It's a pain for my job because everything is so time sensitive, and we have to go in and reprogram everything for an hour twice a year.
I know.
But yeah.
So, yes, Ruffles and Falcor, voice of Extra Life. It's a blast.
Yeah.
It is so much fun, and we're just going to have an absolute fun time. So it's going to be thrilling. And again, a week from this Sunday, though, come to the Blue Note. If you're in Central Oklahoma, go to the Oklahoma City Blue Note. Food provided by Toast and Coffee of Oklahoma City. It's going to be fantastic. It was a blast last time. It was a packed house, so make sure you get your reservations now at the Blue Note website or go to kosu.org. You'll be able to find it there. And it's going to be an absolute blast. So,
for sure. I got to say, too, just to give props to Mark, not last year, but the year before, when you and I played the Epic with Andrew and such, and Mark was the MC for that whole thing, man, you did a great job.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever told you that, Mark. You did a great freaking job. It was outstanding. I remember at one point, I even looked at Michael and I was like, he's doing a great freaking job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark's fault, and he did a great job last year too. So it was fantastic. I
And
tried to
the
do
Blue
the
Note
24 hours thing, and it really didn't work out as well as I thought it would. But we've got a plan this year. I have a plan. So the plan will be done this time.
Is it legal?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. No. I'm far too old to do anything.
Not young anymore, Michael.
Yeah. No. I have a plan. So
right.
to make it through the whole thing. Yes. Blue Note. The Oklahoma City Blue Note. It's on 23rd and Robinson. Check that out at I think it's okcbluenote.com.
Mm-hmm.
Just Google Blue Note. Oklahoma
Check
City.
it out. There'll be food. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolute blast. The audience strikes back.
You want to be there for audience.
Yeah. This time it's personal.
Bags. Bring your dice bags.
Bruncheons and Dragons too. All right. Thank you so very much for everybody showing up. It's been a great Plausible Deniability. We'll have Brooke back here next time. I'm Michael Cross.
Johnny Payne.
Brooke,
I don't know.
I don't know. Is
On
he
time later.
down there? No, I guess not. All right. See you guys. Have a great day.